Hello everybody, we are here with your Thanatos guide. Thanatos obviously has one priority role, that role being the jungle. So we're going to start him off with an Assassin's Blessing, get our mace, health potion, and the gods, and of course our blink. Thanatos, not bad in the jungle right now. To be fair, the jungle is a very strong role, so nobody's like totally horrible in the jungle right now. But he does have his particular uses, which we'll get in later. He's actually really good against one of the best supports in the game, so we can talk about that in a little bit. But starting off with our ability that we're going to be getting at level 1, also the ability that we will max first, that is our Death Scythe. Thanatos throws a scythe at an enemy. This does a bunch of flat damage. It also does bonus damage equal to 10% max HP of an enemy god if you do hit a god with it. On top of that, it is going to heal you for 75% of the damage dealt and slow the enemy by 20%. Thanatos has a hit chain, which you saw us use right there. Thanatos has a 1.75, 1.5 damage and swing time hit chain, and that last attack is AoE, so preferably you want to be hitting that speed buff with the AoE on the first auto, so just try to get that timed right. Your scythe does not travel through minions or anything. It will smash a minion right in the dome. So you got to be careful with that. It is a long, very skinny line-based ability.
You're right to be afraid.
And it is not the easiest ability in the world to actually hit. It's a lot like Fafnir Hammer, where if you can hit the ability consistently, then you're going to be a great Fafnir. If you can't hit it consistently, you're not. Same thing with Thanatos. It a lot comes down to consistent scythes. So what's an easy way to hit consistent scythes? Do what I just did. Walk up right into melee range. It's a lot harder to miss your scythe when you're basically in point blank range. You don't have to go for the full court shot every single time you throw out a scythe. Our second ability that we got at level 2 is our Soul Reap. Soul Reap is an arc ability. It does a little cone in front of you. It starts off on the right-hand side and it sweeps over to the left-hand side. That animation does properly reflect the hit chain, meaning that it takes a little bit longer for it to hit on the left than it does for it to hit on the right because it starts over there. Think like Chang'e 1. So you can whip that ability a little bit. This is also going to deal damage to the enemy target within, and it is going to be a silence. It's going to be a 1-second silence. This ability takes 5% of Thanatos' max HP. So if you watch when I use this ability, it takes 5% of my max HP in order to use that ability. All of Thanatos' regular abilities, his 1 as well, and your 2 all take 5% of your max HP. Or excuse me, 5% of your current HP, not max HP. That is not the same thing. In order to use them, with your ultimate taking 10% of your current HP in order to use. Fun fact, it actually did used to be max percent back in the day, meaning that Thanatos could actually kill himself by using abilities. It is a big part of the reason why they changed that, because people were dying while using abilities and not knowing why, but that's neither really here nor there. I don't know if I'm able to make it! So close, and yet so far from getting this kill, except for the fact that I'm going to be greedy and I'm actually going to commit to getting this kill, and then I'm going to try to run away healing with a scythe off of these minions, and then I'm not going to stay here near these minions and get teleported back on by a Nike. I'm going to run all the way over here and try to heal for blue. Yeah, buddy. So into our second ability. Our second ability is a stim on our character. It is a really good buff. It is going to give us penetration, flat penetration. So this is 15 up to 35 flat pen. It's going to give you movement speed. And on top of that movement speed, not only do you get the regular movement speed, but you also get bonus movement speed on top of that if your opponent is at low health. So this buff lasts for 6 seconds. That movement speed doubles when you're moving towards an enemy god that is within your ultimate threshold. So if they're within your ultimate threshold, then you're going to get basically double the movement speed on them, which is awesome. That means we need to go in to talk about our ultimate. Our ultimate hovering death. This is what Thanatos is known for. You fly into the sky as we did, and then you're gonna land down on a target. If you land down on that target and they're not particularly low HP, you're just gonna do a little bit of damage to them, and you are going to stun them for 1 second. If they are down in threshold, though, that threshold being a percentage of HP that starts at 24% and goes as high as 40%. If they are within that threshold of HP when you land on them, they instantly die. No collecting $200, no passing go, no nothing. They just die. He has an execute as an ultimate. Finally, our passive. Ooh, speaking of our passive, I might need to fly over towards this Nike really quick. He's about to be in range. I get this bonus movement speed. I got my ulti. Gotta make sure he doesn't try to jump my ulti, actually. There it is. I thought he might try to get a little cheeky with a little Nike jump, so I just kind of waited a little bit. Oh, no, Cthulhu. I don't want any. I'm just gonna run. Cthulhu, we're cool, baby. You like killing people. I like killing. Oh, we're cool, right? We're good. Just leave me alone. All right, back into the passive. Enemy gods within his ultimate execute threshold or reveal the Thanatos. So if somebody is low HP on the map, oh my god, you will start to hear a thump on the map. That thump correlates. Is that a shell? It was a shell from the Cthulhu. That thumping means that you can hear somebody's heartbeat because they are low HP. So they are revealed to you. And of course, your 2 will make you run faster towards them. Dealing a killing blow with Thanatos, this is the more honestly important part. Dealing a killing blow with Thanatos is going to regen your health. So if you kill an enemy god, you get 20% of the target's max HP regen. For minions, you get 10% of the target's max HP. And you also get cooldown reduction for killing gods as well. So if you kill an enemy god, you're going to get a 5-second cooldown reduction in order to keep helping you go on a rampage. Keep in mind, like we said earlier, all of Thanatos' abilities cost health and mana in order to use. The mana costs are extremely low. You can see 25 to 65, like look how low these are. That's because it also casts a percentage it costs a percentage of your current HP in order to use them. So that's kind of the trade-off. Like, hey, look at it, costs like no mana, but also, you know, it actually costs a little bit of your life, so you gotta be careful about that. Boop. Hi, Hera. So when I kill this Hera, if you watch my Scythe cooldown went down by, that's right, 5 seconds. So isn't that pretty nice? I'm actually just gonna let this go. I'm not gonna get greedy for this. So Thanatos is a very, very high snowballing, teamfight oriented, ganking oriented god. He loves to be battling other gods. You get so much sustain just from killing things. You get so much sustain from your Scythe, combined with your passive, combined with Assassin's Blessing in the jungle, combined with the extra cooldown you get from killing enemy gods. It's great. Because of this passive, it means that we don't need a ton of CDR on Thanatos. I don't really need anti-heal this game, so I'm actually going to get a Crusher, and then I'm going to bring myself into an Erendite. So I like about 20% CDR on Thanatos. I find that that is the sweet spot, and our build is almost entirely going to be based around ability damage, ability power, but Crusher in general, just a strong early game item. This would be a Brawler's if they had more healing, but the Crusher is going to give me a little bit of attack speed, which isn't bad because we have a very nice attack chain on Thanatos. Speaking of our passive, actually, you can actually see this Nike right now. He is in my passive threshold, so I can see him on the map. And I gain that bonus movement speed with my 2 moving towards him. So One thing you should note on Thanatos is just because you can see them with your passive, it does not mean that people on your team can see them. So if you're playing in like a ranked game or something and you're like, ooh, somebody's low right by somebody, why aren't they doing anything? They don't see them on your minimap, only you do. So ping them out for your team so that way they can try to rotate over there and get the kill. Speaking of rotating over to get some kills, I'm gonna pop my 2, pop my ulti. I'm gonna land right down on this Jingwei, grab that kill. Trying to save my Scythe here for the Hunmat. So hopefully I can grab that kill as well. We might even be able to walk over and do the Gold Fury now.
Your right tower is under attack.
So for Thanatos, our official leveling order is we grab our ultimate whenever we can. So our 4, that is because it is going to increase the threshold upon which we can execute targets. Obviously, executing a target really strong, so we want that to be as high as humanly possible.
Your middle tower is
Then
under
we rank
attack.
up our Scythe. Our Scythe is our main damaging ability. It goes up to 380 base damage. That is 380 base damage. Now you have to factor in that you also get 10% of their max HP if it's an enemy god. And I'm gonna get a Crusher proc off of this, and it's gonna slow them, and I might have additional pen from my 2, which is the ability that we rank up 3rd. The reason why I rank up this ability 3rd is 1, it's gonna give us more movement speed, which is wonderful for catching up to people, but 2, it's also gonna give us a bunch of flat pen, meaning that in the early stages of the game, especially against squishy targets, we're basically gonna have true damage as long as we have this ability popped. It's gonna be like they have no defenses whatsoever, and it also helps us on rotations. For like when somebody gets down in my range, like Cthulhu's in my range, it's gonna help me rotate over so quick. Not quite gonna be able to secure that kill, but I do believe the Arthur is gonna be able to get it in the back line. So I'm gonna actually come back to land on this Hunmat, who I hope's ultimate is down. It is. Gonna chase into the Hera
Tower is under attack.
with my bonus movement speed. I'm gonna try to blink away. Hit him with a little combo here. Bada bing, bada boom. No issues. Our standard combination on Thanatos is going to be either using our blink or our ultimate for initiation, depending on what is up at the time. After we ulti land on somebody, we typically want to get 1 auto attack in. So ulti auto attack, because they're going to be stunned for 1 second. And then right after your auto attack, immediately hit them with the Scythe, just getting a little auto attack cancel in there for some bonus damage. This is going to become even more important in our build, because we are going to get a Hydra's Lament after our Erendite. So our combination is going to be ulti, land on them, auto, so you get the Hydra's proc from the ultimate. Then use your Scythe, which is going to do a bunch of damage, and then if they're still alive, hit them with yet another auto attack, which is going to be another Hydra's proc from your 1. You may have already had your 2 procced at this time, giving you extra penetration. Or it might have not been used at all, in which case you can use your 2 to help chase down the target if they're still alive, if they were a tank or something. Or you can use your 3 to try to finish them if they're trying to run away from range. So right now we've got our Crusher Warrior Tabite for a little bit of early pressure. We've got our Erendite, which is just going to help us chase down targets even more than we already can chase them down. So because of our 2, we are extremely good at chasing down targets. You can see that Thanatos is a natural counter to Cthulhu. We'll talk about those matchups in just a second, but Thanatos is great against Cthulhu.
Enemy ultimate down.
The reason why we rank up our 3 last is the 3 doesn't actually increase the silence duration. All it's going to increase is the flat damage. But for the most part, if you rank up your 2 first, and then you do your 2 Scythe Hydra's Lament combos, you're going to be able to kill them without even having to use your 3rd ability. So you don't even make it to that point where you're going to need to use that ability in order to get a kill. That way you can use it more for the CC and provide that silence out to your team. You're not necessarily having to use it for all the kills because your 2 and your Scythe are going to get the job done. Now, one thing we do need to keep in mind on Thanatos is over capping on pen. I see players do this a lot. Thanatos' 2 is flat pen. So you can see right now I've got 15 physical penetration from my Crusher. If I pop my 2, during that time, I am actually capped on pen. I've got 50 out of 50 flat pen. So I can still get percent pen, but if I build more flat pen at this point, I will actually be overcapping on flat pen. And while my 2 is active, I will not get any of that penetration. It will not be any use to me at all. I'm gonna ulti. I wanted to look back towards this Hun match, but I'm actually a little bit worried about going for that. So instead, I'm just gonna put some more pressure on this Cthulhu. Head back out and get some more farm in the jungle. So earlier in the game, we talked about, we kind of foreshadowed that Thanatos is good against one of the meta supports right now. So Thanatos does really good at a couple things right now. One, Thanatos is a execute god. Because he is an execute god, this means that he does really, really well against Khepri. Khepri is one of the meta supports right now, particularly when Yamoj is banned, which he should be 100% of the time. Khepri has a Resurrect in his kit, but that Resurrect does not matter at all if the target is low enough to be in Threshold, because Executes and Smite will go through Khepri's ulti. It goes through shields, shells. You know how many shells are in your games right now. As long as they're in Threshold, it doesn't matter how much bonus HP they have after the Threshold. So a Nike shield after she's already down below 40% HP doesn't help her at all. Cthulhu ulting and gaining all that bonus HP, but technically not changing his maximum percentage HP, doesn't help him at all. Thanatos is really good against a lot of those more meta gods right now. Because of that execution on the ulti, it really helps him in those spots. So he does great against the Khepri. He's great against Geb. He's great against the Shell meta. He's great against Cthulhu. He's great against Nike. He is good against so many of the gods that are good right now. Anybody that relies on shield, shells, reses, any of it. He is good against all of it. As far as things that Thanatos struggles against, Thanatos isn't the best late game god to ever exist. He's not a horrible late game god. He's not like a Mulan, where Mulan is so good for the first like 15 minutes of the game, and then she just absolutely drops off the face of a cliff. Thanatos is much better than that in the late game stages, but as you get into the late game on Thanatos, you're going to be focusing a little bit more on being precautionary. You're going to have to be a little bit more defensive, and you're going to have to be utilizing that ulti as an execute in the middle of a team fight more so than in the early stages of the game, where you can get away using it as an initiation tool. The initiation Thanatos ulti starts to go away by like that 25+ minute marker. Now that we've got our Hydras online, we're going to be able to hit them with the big fat combos. So 3 auto, 1 auto, 2 auto. We're going to get so much damage from these Hydras procs. For our 5th item, we are moving ourselves into a Blood Forge. If you're playing Thanatos and you don't have a Blood Forge in your kit somewhere, then boy golly, I don't know what you're doing. You're gonna be executing with your ulti, meaning that you're gonna be getting a kill, meaning that you're gonna be proccing a Blood Forge. A lot of the times your ultimate is gonna be putting you in harm's way. So if you don't have something to kind of help you out a little bit, you are going to be asking to die. A Blood Forge is just going to help keep us alive. Nike uses her ulti. That is fine. He uses Thorns. Doesn't matter. I still execute him. I know Mouthy was just giving us a nice little example right there of why Thanatos is so good against gods like Nike with those shields, because we go right through them. Great example right there, my friend. Great example. So for Thanatos, we talked about earlier, you just got to be careful against ultra late game gods. Hunbatch is actually a good example. Hunbatch is a beautiful team fight assassin. He really starts to thrive in the post like 20-minute marker, which is not to say that Hunbatch is bad early game. He's not. Please don't get me wrong. He has one of the best early game clears. It's just that Hunmax in the ultra late game, his presence in a team fight is going to be much more palpable, much more notable than a Thanatos. Thanatos is going to be just going for a real quick backline kill. Hunmax is going to be going for a 4-man ulti. You can see how a 4-man, second and a half fear is going to be a lot more impactful than you just trying to, go kill the hunter. So just be aware if the game goes super ultra into the late game that some characters will start to transition better than you do, which means keep the pressure on early, keep the damage out, don't let them get to that point. If you do get into the ultra late game and you can start to feel yourself drop off, that's okay. The game is not over. You haven't thrown the game by not ending it before the 20-minute marker or anything. But focus on being a little bit more sneaky, a little bit more passive. You're not going to be the guy initiating anymore like you can for the first 20 minutes. You're going to be waiting for somebody maybe to get down to half HP, 60% HP, right? And then you can ulti in and go for the kill. Now we should mention that beads will not save you from a Thanatos ulti. CC immunity does not save you. So if somebody raw ultis, it is not going to save you from a Thanatos ulti. Capriol is not going to save you. Aegis will save you. And Aegis stops all damage from being done. That damage also includes executes. So you can Aegis a Thanatos ulti. Yes. Something like a Soul 3 will also stop the Thanatos ulti because it's basically an Aegis. You go into that immunity stage. So keep in mind, any sort of complete immunity will stop your ultimate from executing the target. So just make sure you don't get baited by like an Aegis or something. You can jump over the execute. So like the Nike that one time under the tower, I thought he was going to jump my ability. He was going to. If I land at the same time that he's jumping, well, he's in the air. I've landed. It doesn't actually hit him on the floor. So don't even worry about it. So I'm a little bit worried heading into the super ultra late stage of the game. And so for our 6th item here, I didn't finish my Bloodforge. I went right into a Mantle of Discord. I'm worried about getting Hunmax ultied, getting Hera ultied, all these CCs that are going to be coming out to me. So I ranked up my beats and I grabbed myself a Mantle of Discord just to be extra safe. We're moving in past that 20-minute marker. I'm not going to be as aggressive as I had in the past. And so I give myself a safer item instead of going to finish the more dangerous item. It's going to let me play a little bit more aggressive in these fights as well. Gonna throw myself into an ultimate now that I'm in the back line. I was looking for the Hera, but Hera is gonna go ahead and go down. Team should be able to grab that mid Phoenix. I've got my Hydra's proc. Make sure you're using your Hydra's efficiently on the Phoenixes as Thanatos. So I'm gonna keep using my abilities on these creeps and then use those Hydra's procs to get extra damage on these Phoenixes. So when I walk up to this Titan, Scythe, 1, 2, auto, 3, auto. I'm gonna make sure I'm getting in these autos in between every single ability so I get those Hydra's procs. This is exactly how you want your Thanatos game to go, is in 22 minutes. So for our last item there, we would of course bought ourselves that Bloodforge. Finally got the Mantle of Discord just to show you that it's okay not to finish an item. It's not a big deal. I think a lot of times, particularly in the earlier stages of the game around anti-heal, people start to build an item and then they go, oh no, I should have done something else. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to sell the item, right? I probably should have gotten a Mantle of Discord there instead of going right into the Bloodforge, save the Bloodforge for 6th. Instead, I back up. I just get the Mantle of Discord. It's okay. Maybe you start building into a Doom Orb. You get a tier 2 Doom Orb, early stages of a game, right? And then you're like, oh no, I should have got a Divine Ruin. It's okay. Hold your horses, buy your Divine Ruin, go finish up your Doom Orb after you get the Divine Ruin, right? It's okay to stop building items and get something else that you realize you needed more. Specifically on this game, we would have finished up that Bloodforge, and then we would have sold our Warrior Tabi for a Heartseeker. Heartseeker, A beautiful item for Thanatos, going to give us even more % damage on our Scythe and our 3, but most importantly our Scythe, and it's going to give us some % penetration. Percent penetration, reminder, is a totally separate stat from flat pen, meaning that how we would have been capped on flat pen with our 2 and our crusher, we could have gotten percent pen up to 40%. So it's a totally separate thing. Absolutely no worries there, guys. Play aggressive in the early game. Go for ganks. Know that there's very few characters in the game that are better at fighting than you at level 1, 2, and 3. So be aggressive. Go for the red buff invade if you can. Go for those fights. Start the snowball and land your Scythe. Practice, practice, practice. Makes perfect on that. If you don't land your Scythe, you're missing out on like 88% of Thanatos' kit. So just practice it. You might suck at first. It's okay. We all suck at first. Some people like me still suck to this day, guys. Don't get too down about it. And that, of course, is our Thanatos guide.